Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to present you the newest features in Microgateway 4.7. My name is Stefan Dietiker and I'm the product manager of Airlock Microgateway. I have a few topics that I want to cover. First, the main new features of Microgateway 4.7, some miscellaneous features and changes. The new version of Microgateway comes with a bunch of new features and improvements. We heavily invested in performance tuning and publishing performance profiles for our customers. Besides that, we provide great improvements for OIDC relying party and session handling. We improved the performance in Microgateway 4.7 and provide performance profiles to our customers. The performance of Airlock Microgateway was already very great. Nevertheless, we increased the performance of the engine and the operator in version 4.7 even more. In addition, we published performance profiles in the Microgateway documentation, so customers can estimate the required resources for a certain throughput to size the environment. In other words, customers know in advance how many engine containers they should deploy to handle the expected throughput. Previous Microgateway versions used session handling only for access control and it wasn't configurable. Now it's possible to control the session idle timeout, the session cookie properties like cookie name or domain, and whether it's always enabled or not. Enabling session handling in filtering only scenarios is also very interesting. It allows to investigate which requests were sent in the same session or how many sessions were active at a certain time. Besides the mentioned benefits, session handling lays the ground for future features like single logout, logout propagation, session hijacking prevention, and much more. In Microgateway 4.5, our OIDC relying party integration has been extended with OIDC token introspection support. Yes, this is a few releases ago, and it's a recap why you should use token introspection and what we have improved in this area. OIDC token introspection is a standard to verify whether a token has been revoked after issuing it. With token introspection, each client request can be sent to the introspection endpoint of the OIDC provider to verify the token. This generates load on the OIDC provider. To reduce the load, we provide a strategy to only send a part of the requests to the OIDC provider. In this release, the new strategy periodic is available. From a security perspective, it is highly recommended to use the strategy always, which causes that every request is checked. To understand OIDC token introspection, it is crucial to be familiar with the OIDC sign-in process. This is why I first like to explain how authentication is done with OIDC. First of all, we have a web application which is protected by Airlock Microgateway and the user tries to access it. Airlock Microgateway follows the OIDC protocol and redirects the user to an IAM. The IAM shows a login form and authenticates the user. After successful authentication, the user is forwarded to a so-called callback URL of the microgateway. The microgateway received an access code with the callback request and uses it to get an access and ID token from an IAM. Afterwards, the access control policy is applied. If the user is authorized to access the web application, he is redirected to the original URL he entered. The request is then filtered and forwarded to the web application. OIDC token introspection comes into play for every subsequent request after the sign-in process. The user wants to access a certain resource on the web application and sends a request. With token introspection enabled, Airlock Microgateway checks whether the OIDC token has been revoked in the meantime. This is achieved by requesting the introspection endpoint of the IAM. In case that the OIDC token is still valid, the request is forwarded to the web application. As mentioned before, Airlock Microgateway can be configured with different strategies to reduce the load on the introspection endpoint. With this release, always, random, and periodic are possible options. The new strategy periodic ensures that after the configured time, a request is introspected by the configured IAM. From security perspective, we recommend to use always. Besides the mentioned features, there are other improvements and changes to talk about. In addition, we provide you some other improvements. The cycleless data plane mode with Kubernetes Gateway API received some new features. Support for proxy protocol to receive the real client IP address behind the load balancer. Telemetry settings can be configured now. Additional volumes can be mounted into the engine container. And in the token exchange feature, the subject token type can be configured. I'd like to thank you for your time and hope that you enjoy the new Microgateway release. Goodbye.